This is Orange Nation Overtime with Steve Infanti and Paulie Scibilia.
Welcome into Orange Nation Overtime, everyone. Alongside Paulie Scibilia, I'm Steve Infanti. Big news today that we started the show with. Syracuse will be playing UConn in an exhibition game to open up the men's basketball schedule. It's a neutral site game at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. So Syracuse will have 3 exhibition games, one against UConn in Connecticut, one against Niagara and Buffalo, and then the one against Siena, rumored to be being played in Albany. And you and I both thought, great idea, why not? Financially beneficial, you get to test yourself, but yet we had some listeners who were not too pleased about that, Paul.
Yeah, which is weird to me, but it's a good way to make money for the program. Bottom line.
Yeah, and that is
important.
I was going to say at or near the top of it's at the top of the list right now, right? I mean,
especially for exhibition games.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Right, why not?
If you can get paid to go play an exhibition game at a casino somewhere, go ahead.
And I saw Mike Waters over at Syracuse.com. He's one of our Orange Nation contributors here on News Channel 9. He suggested, he said, listen, don't be, I'm paraphrasing, but don't be surprised if we see UConn on the regular season schedule moving forward. I agree with him. I think that this is a precursor to getting UConn back in the mix on even if it's a semi-regular basis. Jerry wants to play UConn.
Yeah, and we also know John Wildhack was working on it at points, as he said on the football broadcast.
Right. So when we heard that there was going to be a game in the Garden, we said it's probably either against St. John's or UConn. And they got St. John's in the Garden. They've got UConn back on the schedule now, even from an exhibition standpoint. I do think we're going to see Syracuse-UConn during the regular season, most likely moving forward. Speaking of basketball, it is NBA Draft Day, at least round 1 tonight on News Channel 9. And I know you'll have round 1 on the radio side of things as well, Paulie, right? On
and
ESPN Radio. And round 2. We'll have round 2 as well. Round 1, though, tonight. And everybody's wondering, what the top 4 looks like. Some really good players, obviously, in that top 4. It's being called a generational draft. A.J. DeBonsa at the top of the list. Cameron Boozer's in the class. Darren Peterson, Caleb Wilson from North Carolina. Syracuse fans saw 3 of those guys this year, although Peterson didn't play against Syracuse. But 3 SU opponents are in the top 4 picks this year. The big news, though, today is that Giannis got traded, and we thought this was going to happen prior to the draft. It came down between the Celtics and Heat, Paulie, and he's going to Miami.
The Heat prevail, Steve.
Yeah.
And it's a good get for them. It feels like they gave up everything.
Gave up a lot, they did. Gave up a bunch of picks, gave up a bunch of players.
We're going to be potentially in 6 years going, and this draft pick was for the Giannis deal. So.
Yeah, for sure. There is definitely going to be some of that. We did bring on Cameron Azair. He's a sports reporter and anchor at WFRV in Green Bay. One of my former students in Newhouse, has done very well. He covers the Bucks. He's actually set to go to a station in Milwaukee coming up next month. And so we got his thoughts on the trade and the NBA draft, and even asked him a few Cuse questions as well. Here is Cam Azair, and we let him off asking for his reaction to the Giannis trade.
I think they were going to be winners in any sense of the word, and I say in any sense of the word because when you lose an icon like Giannis Antetokounmpo that brings a championship to your small market city for the first time in 50 years, you will never consider yourself a winner. I was texting with a few friends in the state and people that cover the Bucks and have just lived in Wisconsin most of their lives, and I think that the overarching consensus is, hey, we're sad that this is happening, but they were going to be winners because Giannis was about to play in the last year of that massive 3-year, $186 million extension anyway. His relationship with the Bucks was so severed. I mean, guys, over the last year, just the comments that he was making of, I like to be the villain. He was booing his own fans when they were booing back at him in one game in the middle point of the season. Not to mention, he talked about how he's letting his agent do all the work, and he had never publicly went out and said he wanted to leave the Milwaukee Bucks, but it felt like through the grapevines that was going to happen. I think they got back what they were supposed to get back. I actually described it the other day as an angel and devil scenario of the 2 finalists that emerged were the Celtics and the Heat. The devil situation is going with the Celtics offer. You bring in Jaylen Brown. You could still be somewhat of a contender under new head coach Taylor Jenkins. You still pick in the first round of tonight's draft at 27 where the Celtics are. You get a first round pick in the future as well, but you get to stay a contender in the East, even though you're probably in that middle of the pack with teams like Orlando and and Atlanta and teams like that, or you go with the Angel situation, which was pretty much the exact same offer that they got at the trade deadline, reportedly from the Heat. Of those 4 young pieces, you get a bunch of draft picks as well, and you plan for your future. And I think it was a juggling act in the Bucks front office of what do we want to do, because you still want to sell tickets, you still want to make this team seem valuable because they are a small market team. You got to do a lot more than other teams have to do, but they got back what they were supposed to get back. They're planning for the future. They got draft picks in 2031, 2033, 2030 as well. This is the exact same situation that the Thunder put themselves in, planning 5 years down the road. And what did they do? They got Shea 3 years before he could actually be a key piece to that team. And then when they drafted Chet and they added all those guys, I feel like they got exactly what they were supposed to get, but there was definitely that juggling act of, do you go the Angel of prepping for the future or the Devil of we can still be relevant now? I think they took the best deal.
You know, as you alluded to a moment ago, Cam, sometimes these things can get ugly, right? The star player's been there so long, fans feel betrayed that he doesn't want to play there anymore. And I'm not a Bucks fan, but I am, I do watch the NBA. I like Giannis. I think most people who, from the outside looking in, like he always works hard. I feel like he always says the right thing. He stays out of trouble. How is this going to impact how he's received in Milwaukee moving forward? Is he going to be beloved when the dust settles, or are there still going to be some hurt feelings when he comes back in a Heat uniform next year?
It's a great question, because this saga, and I'm calling it the Greek Freak saga, because it's been 12, 13 months of speculation, and knowing that the relationship between him and Bucks general manager John Horst hasn't been at its best. It's well reported that Horst isn't a Rob Pelinka type. He's not someone that is going to be boots on the ground in front of the media at all times discussing things with his players, while Giannis, he wanted an open line of communication, but that's just not who Horst is. And because of this 13-month stretch, yes, you can look at it just as the LeBron James move to Miami from Cleveland and say he was so beloved, he did everything he could for that organization, but it felt sour toward the end. Because of what the Milwaukee Bucks are, if you look back to 2014-15, this was a Bucks team that financially was in trouble. And if it wasn't for Giannis helping this team out, getting drafted in 2013, developing, signing 3 contract extensions, winning this team a championship, becoming one of only 3 players in the NBA to win an MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year in the same season, go back-to-back MVPs, there's a chance that the Bucks wouldn't be in Milwaukee right now. I mean, Pfizer Forum, compared to the BMO Arena, that's the house that Giannis built. He is going to have a statue if it was an awful relationship toward the end or if it was cordial. And honestly, I don't think there was any situation where this breakup would have been cordial. Giannis wants to win. The Bucks did everything they could post-championship to help him win by bringing in Damian Lillard, knowing Chris Middleton couldn't stay healthy, shipping him off to Washington. Then the Dame situation fell apart. It felt like just bad luck after bad luck, because remember, they were still the 1 seed a year after they won the championship. So I don't think that there would have been any situation outside of Giannis publicly coming out and saying, I never want to be in Milwaukee again, and this city stinks, just as LeBron James said on that YouTube golf video. I don't think that there was any situation where Milwaukee wouldn't receive Giannis Antetokounmpo well at the end. I think his legacy is still one of the 2 best players in franchise history outside of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I don't think that this does anything. There might be a little sour taste over the next year, but he's still getting a statue. His jersey will still be retired. And everyone, from what I've gauged from people I've talked to, everyone still loves Giannis.
All right, let's look at a little bit deeper into what the Bucks got in return. And Tyler Hero happens to be a Milwaukee native, right? Or he grew up just outside Milwaukee, coming home now to play for the Bucks. Is he good enough to be a player that they can build around? Can he be like the cornerstone of this franchise, or is he just maybe a Robin to somebody else's Batman?
Yeah, I mean, Giannis is 31, Tyler Hero is 26. So if you're looking future, Tyler Hero has more of a future in terms of he will reach his prime soon enough. He's going to enter his 8th season in the NBA. Now, this trade won't officially be finalized until July 6th, so I'm very interested to see how Bucks general manager John Horst, after the first round of the draft, addresses the media, because he technically can't even talk about it. So there's a chance that Tyler Hero is a part of a further deal in a 3-4 team trade when July 6th rolls around. There's been many situations in which someone gets traded. I mean, just think about that Houston Phoenix trade for Kevin Durant, and then it became a 7-team trade 2 weeks later. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is a 1-for-1 trade in terms of just the Bucks dealing with the Heat, because it could have been a 3-team trade earlier. They were discussing that possibility. So I do think that Tyler Hero will be on the Milwaukee Bucks. You mentioned it. He's from the Greenfield area, which is right outside the city of Milwaukee. He scored 20 points per game. He's been an all-star. This was back in 2025. He's proven that he can be an elite scorer. He's played in an NBA Finals before. But if the Bucks are looking ahead to 5 years or the 10-year plan looks like, Tyler Hero will most likely not be a part of it. I'm not saying that all Hero is a nice piece to keep this team floating above water so they can sell tickets and actually be somewhat of a play-in or even fringe playoff team. But honestly, Steve, that's how I see Tyler Hero in this situation. Is he will be a good enough player to build a culture and a core for this group. But the Bucks will only be relevant in terms of thinking another championship, maybe in 10 years. And at that point, Hero will be out of the league. So I just think what they brought in, the majority of the value is in those draft picks. But you bring in Hero as someone that can maybe convince a Miles Turner to stay, because I know that there was some buzz around maybe he goes to the Raptors now that Giannis is gone. Or maybe he can bring in a few guys knowing, I have a viable shooter on the outside. Honestly, I think Hero is less valuable than the Jaime Hawkeses of the world, the Kalel Wares, the Kasparis Yakachunases. Those guys are younger. They still have so much career ahead. Tyler Hero is about to be a 10-year NBA vet in a couple of years. So I think the Hero impact is just to build a new culture in Milwaukee and help out Taylor Jenkins along the way.
Yeah, kind of bridge the gap to the future. And with the future in mind, 2 picks in the top 13 in the first round tonight for the Bucks. Do you have a feel for who they would target, or I guess the profile of player that they're looking to get out of these 2 picks?
I know that, I doubt that you two have followed the draft history of the Bucks, because even before I got to Green Bay, that hadn't really been on my mind. But the Bucks have had it's been a struggle bus trying to draft. Outside of picking Giannis in 2013, and honestly, that's why I think this Heat offer is more attractive than the Celtics, is Milwaukee looks at it from the standpoint of, it worked for us in 2013. We drafted a guy that not a lot of people knew, 15th overall pick, so within that 10 and 20 range, and it turned into a championship 8 years later. But outside of that, the Bucks really haven't drafted anyone. If I asked you, if I put $1 million on the table, I said over the last 2 years, give me the 3 players that the Bucks have drafted. I think it's in the first round, because a couple of years ago they drafted early second round a couple of years ago along with the first round pick. You would lose that $1 million every single time. Bogaloo Markovic, he didn't even play for the team this year. They shipped him overseas to get more experience. And then AJ Johnson and Tyler Smith, who were both gone after a year in subsequent trades and deals that they made. So, this Bucks team has not been good at drafting, because it feels like they go very young, so the 18, 19-year-olds, and hopeful potential. So I think bringing in Taylor Jenkins as your new head coach, you got a new scheme. The team is going to look completely different. They'll still go young, but I think they lean toward the college guys. And that's why I think having 10 and 13 this year in a generational draft, guys, this draft is 8, 9, 10 players deep, and they could package the 10 and 13 up. I don't think it's going to happen. But because you have those 2 picks and the draft is so loaded with talent, I think you go with a 21-year-old that's just coming out of college, or even the 19-year-old, someone that can bring a level of experience that you still have hope that they could potentially be a good player in the league over the next 5-10 years. The problem with the Bucks is they've just been trying to follow the Giannis model. Take a 17 or 18-year-old and hope that in 5 years he bulks up 50 pounds, turns into a Greek god, and then all of a sudden he can win us a championship in 10 years. I think the approach now shifts under Taylor Jenkins as the new head coach and whatever insight he provides.
Cameron Azair joining us here for another couple of minutes on Orange Nation. And Cam, there's been a lot of speculation in our chat section about whether or not you're a Cuse guy, whether or not you were in my class. Yes to both. You are a Cuse guy. Yes, I did have you in class. So let's talk a little Cuse.
What grade did Steve give you?
Oh, you gave me an A, which is why I'll always appreciate. Yeah, I wouldn't have hopped on the show if it was a B. No, I'm kidding. No.
So we've only got one guy you didn't give an A to.
There you go.
In your history.
Yep.
Well, no, other people in the class didn't get an A.
Yeah, I know, but that have come on your show. On this show.
If they're doing as well as Cam, they probably got an A for a reason, right? So I think that makes a lot of sense.
I don't want
to give you the backstory of some of my, when I was finishing my stories, because I think, Steve, that was the only contention between us when I was emailing you at 4 in the morning. The deadlines were so bad. Yes,
deadlines are important. Yes.
So Tyler is the only one that didn't get an A.
And
but
you know why he didn't get it? Because he must have handed something in late. Tyler Aki is very talented as well. He must have handed something in late.
You just don't like it. I get it.
That's not true. Anyway, let's talk some Cuse as long as we got you. Cuse basketball. Jerry McNamara, new head coach here. I know you still follow the team, follow the program. Your thoughts on the hire and what this team looks like going into next year.
Yeah, I love it. It's the right hire to make, especially at this time, right? Trying to keep players and trying to get players that can relate to the coach. And I know some might say, let's try to go outside of the circle. Like you obviously had Boeheim for a while, and then the Red Autry experiment ended up not working out when you could have went GMAC right away, or Hopkins even earlier. But I do think that staying within the framework of Syracuse works out better for the community loving the guy. And honestly, because I've been out of Syracuse when I graduated in 2023, I'll follow the team, but I'm not the person that'll then go on YouTube and listen to press conferences and all that. I'll follow along with my colleagues that are still at the school. But I watched the entire, hour introductory press conference about a couple days later when my off day rolled around. And he is the right guy for the job. He has proven himself enough. I know that there's a little bit of doubt of he was at Siena for only 2 years. Like, bring in someone that's a little more experienced that can win now instead of someone that might need a few years to develop at this level of college basketball. But I think in terms of keeping guys around the program, bringing in that grit that people miss, this is why this team made it to the Final Four, a couple of times during that decade stretch with the 2014, 2016. Like, there's a reason those teams made it as far as they did, and why a lot of the times they weren't a number 1 seed making it to the Final Four. You have that grit, that determination. That's what Syracuse is all about. So I absolutely love the hire. And I do think by having GMAC, you don't just bring in guys that are good for the program. You also keep a lot of the guys that are currently at it, like a Kyan Anthony. I do think that Kyan might have left if it wasn't for GMAC.
All right. And you've got a couple of Cuse guys that you cover with the Packers. Zaire Franklin, now a member of the Packers, and Kyle McCord in that quarterback room there. How do the two of those guys fit into things? Yeah,
so it's funny. It's like a Syracuse connection here in Green Bay. The guy who writes for The Athletic, Matt Schneidman, he wrote for the Daily Orange at Syracuse, graduated in 2018. My roommate, my coworker, Carson Fowler, graduated from Cuse last year. Obviously, I'm a Cuse guy. I think you guys know the name Michael Gross. He was a grad student, graduated in 2023 as well. So I think a few of the players are a little fed up with the fact, or at least maybe they're happy that there's some familiarity, because we've gone up to them and say, hey, by the way, we're Syracuse alums as well. Zaire Franklin is such a good fit for this team. And he is what I was just talking about with a GMAC, where he just embodies what Syracuse is about. He talked about how his communication is his biggest strength, how when he showed up to Green Bay and Lambeau Field, the history of the place, that's what really got him there. And again, that's what Cuse is all about, right? You walk into the Dome, you think about the history that has been made there, and he's going to add to this Packers linebacking core, helping out a young guy like Edgerrin Cooper and that defense under new defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon. I know that a couple of years ago, he led the NFL in tackles, and last year just wasn't one of his best seasons. But someone did ask him, do you feel like you still have a shelf life here in the NFL? Or are you kind of nearing the end of his career? And he said that my worst seasons are some of the best seasons for others. Like, he has that mentality that he's going to bring to Green Bay, as he did Syracuse. As for Kyle McCord, Kyron Drones out of Virginia Tech, he was brought in as a competitor to Kyle McCord for that 3 and 4 spot. That is usually a practice squad spot for the Green Bay Packers, because they have Jordan Love as their starter. Tyrod Taylor is an experienced backup going into his 17th season. So I think at the very best, Kyle McCord is fighting for a practice squad spot. So he won't be really featured on this team, but I do think that because the backup quarterback is going into his 17th season, if Taylor's not here next year, if McCord gets that spot over Drones as that practice squad guy, once Taylor's out the door, McCord could slide in at that number 2. But we've asked Matt LaFleur about Kyle McCord. And again, McCord's a young quarterback. They haven't really put the pads on. They haven't really shown what they're all about. So by training camp, when the first date's July 29th, maybe I can talk to you guys more about that. But it's cool to have some Cuse guys in that locker room.
Again, NBA draft coverage tonight on News Channel 9. Round 1 tonight, round 2 tomorrow, and you can listen to it on the radio side of things on ESPN Radio Syracuse. Golf also in the news today, Paulie, and there's been a lot of talk and speculation and rumors about what the tour is going to look like moving forward. And today we got some answers in terms of what it looks like, and essentially they're going to have the normal PGA Tour where all the best players are playing. The top 90 in the world are going to be part of this championship level tour, and then they're going to have almost like this B tour where these guys are going to play. I don't want to say lesser guys, but the guys who are outside the top 90, top 100, they're going to play on this almost like minor league tour moving forward. That's just one of the changes.
And will people be working their way up and down?
So there is relegation. Like you will fall if you finish. Yeah, exactly. If you fall outside the top 90, you're going to drop into that lower tier. They're going to, I believe, have up to 20 players who are going to be promoted after the season into the champions, the championship level tour. There's some match play events involved. I mean, there's a lot of changes. Very interesting. We had another Cuse guy on our show today, PJ Clark with Fried Egg Golf. He came on to talk about the changes. We let him off, though, by asking him about the U.S. Open and what impressed him the most about Wyndham Clark's play down the stretch, that he was able to get it done over the weekend.
I don't know if I want to call it adversity, but kind of not only defeating Scotty Scheffler in a final pairing of a major, which is something that is hard to do, even when you built out quite a lead in front of him there. But Sam Burns charging and Wyndham, took down the crowd, as you mentioned. That was rooting against him. I think some of the Ryder Cup takes comparisons were slightly overblown a little bit. I don't think it was much that bad. No personal attacks, but not rooting for the guy for sure. But I think staying composed and he mentioned that, you could hear on the broadcast routinely every time he got over a shot, every time he and his caddy, made a decision, good process, trying to stay in that. Wyndham obviously has had documented, mental work with his sports psychologist, and that to me really showed on Sunday in the face of a crowd that certainly was not rooting for him.
Now, in terms of Scotty Scheffler, you look at the way he's played this year, and I think most people say, he's having an off year. He hasn't had his A game, and yet, I just pulled up his results as we're talking here. He has not finished outside the top 25 this year, right? And he didn't have his A game, and he finished 4th at the U.S. Open. What do you make of his game this year? And I guess I don't want to say what's wrong, because he's still consistently right there, but he's just not quite the Scotty Scheffler recently that we've come to grow and expect the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, just across the board, it does not seem like his swing is the same as it was last year. Brandel Chambly on Live from Golf Channel did a great breakdown this week that his swing is a little steeper and it's changing. I felt just, anecdotally watching him at Shinnecock this week that maybe the feet were a little bit more out of control. The finishes where he's trying to hold off a big fade and just, his body gets ahead and he's trying to do it all with his hands. And Scotty's got a very wacky golf swing that's well documented. So I think he's just not as dialed as he was for the last couple of years. And that could come with, he's got 2 kids now. He's getting older. He's just turned 30. Like, your body changes, your swing changes as your body changes. I think obviously the pace of play, the pace of winning that he had last year, 2 years ago was, it's unsustainable for anybody that isn't Tiger Woods, essentially winning, 7 times in a year. So I don't think anybody necessarily expected that to continue. But yeah, if you told me that we're here at the Travelers and Scotty only has 1 win of the year and it was at the Amex, I would be pretty surprised. It doesn't make a lot of sense just from the nuts and bolts results standpoint. But he's obviously the best player in the world still, and the wins will come. If he won at Royal Birkdale in 4 weeks here, I don't think anybody would be surprised.
All right, let's talk about these changes that have been rumored, and today some of them were announced. What's the biggest change in your mind to the way the tour is going to operate moving forward?
Yeah, it seems like the biggest change is there's going to be two, essentially, a PGA Tour and a PGB Tour, which is something that we've joked about, people have mentioned over the last couple of years, but now it's in writing. It's what's going to happen in 2028. There's going to be, a track one, the Championship Series. These are going to be the biggest events in the world. Your majors, your Players Championships, your Ryder Cup, your President's Cup. Those are all folded in, where you're going to get the best players in the world, the best 120 players are going to play in those events. So those are your signature events. Currently, Travelers will be on that list, I'm sure. Torrey Pines probably will be on that list, Pebble Beach, iconic PGA Tour venues like that. And then you're going to have the Challenger Series, which is going to be 144-man, your usual field sizes. That is, Rory called it the glorified Korn Ferry Tour last week, and it basically is. You're paying for $25 million purses on the A Tour, and down here you're paying for $4 million purses, and it's going to be interesting to see. 90 guys are going to stay year over year in this promotion relegation system. 90 guys, the top 90 get to stay in Tier A, and then I believe it's 20 guys are going to come up from the B tier, with this 10 kind of in the middle, still trying to figure out what they're going to do with that. Maybe medical exemptions, maybe DP World Tour. So I think just having this all in writing, and that now there is essentially two tours within the actual PGA Tour is kind of the biggest change.
Some notable players who finished outside the top 90 last year: Tom Kim, Billy Horschel, Max Homa, Webb Simpson. I mean, some good golfers that would have been relegated from last year to this year. Do you like the idea of shrinking how many players are playing on that that championship level tour year in and year out?
I do. I think it's a good idea. I think, something that Brian Roloff has really harped on since taking over the PGA Tour is that, fans want to see best on best. And it is, Scotty Scheffler going to his hometown events, multiple in Dallas, like the CJ Cup. Byron Nelson is a great example that Wyndham just won a couple of weeks ago. Like, Scotty grew up playing that event, grew up attending that event, gave him his first start at 16, so he plays that event every year. If that's not a Series A event, Scotty's not going to be allowed to do that, which there's going to be some internal strife as, if you're Canadian Corey Connors and the Canadian Open is a Tier B event, you can't go play your National Open. I don't love that aspect of it, but I do like that you're getting best on best more often than not. And there is a pathway. There's a battlefield promotion. If you're on the B Tour and you win twice in a year, you automatically make it up to the A Tour, which is, to me, that makes a lot of sense. Right now, the battlefield promotion for KFT is 3 events in a year. These fields are going to be more competitive, so I like that they brought it down to 2. It does, in a way, feel like a rich get richer situation, but I also like you mentioned, a guy like Tony Finau or Jordan Spieth, these guys that make their money, keep their cards off of these sponsor exemptions. Those are gone. You're not going to get a free roll from Travelers because you're a brand ambassador or because they like you. This is you have to play to earn your status, which is, Brian Roloff coming from the NFL, that's the same thing. If you're a highly priced veteran and you're not performing anymore, you're going to get cut. And he's starting to look at the PGA Tour the same way.
All right, Steve, we just learned about golf.
Yes,
now
we did.
You ready to learn what day it is today?
What day is it?
National Pink Day. So
Okay.
we're supposed to wear pink just for everything.
Didn't
it
know.
represents.
I had
Yeah.
pink on, what was it, the end of last
Friday.
week?
Friday at lunch.
Yeah, I had pink on.
It's National Hydrated.
I was celebrating early.
It's National Hydration Day. So stay hydrated, King.
They keep doing it at the World Cup. They keep having these hydration breaks. They're making sure that everybody's staying hydrated.
You know what? I've been buying those, they could be a placebo for all I know, but you pour it in your drink and it's supposed to have more electrolytes or something.
I've been doing that as well. Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know if it works.
They have a raspberry flavored one.
Oh,
that
I
like
have a green grape I love.
Yeah, okay.
National Detroit Style Pizza Day.
What is Detroit style pizza?
Little Caesars, a square, really doughy, thick dough.
All right.
Kind of like that. National Pecan. Is it pecan or pecan?
I don't know.
Either or. Sandy's
I've
Day.
heard it both ways.
Pecan Sandy's Day. I
Okay.
like those.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a shortbread cookie with pecans in it.
Yeah.
Pecans. When you say Sandy's, pecan sounds better, but I like pecan pie. But pecan sandy sounds more.
I feel like pecan is like more sophisticated.
Yeah, that's definitely me.
Yeah.
Pecan.
Pecan, see, I don't know. That I'd probably say it like that. I'd probably say pecan pie.
Yeah, because I'm more
But
sophisticated.
pecan sounds very
very
sophisticated.
hoity-toity, like me.
All right, is that it?
That's it, bro.
All right.
That's all I got.
That's it for us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. He's Paulie. I'm Steve. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, everybody.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.